It was just another ordinary day when the sky turned black. It wasn't a storm or any natural phenomenon. The clouds seemed unnatural, swirling in ways that shouldn't be possible. No one knew what to expect. News outlets were scrambling to report on it, but no one had answers. In a small town in the middle of nowhere, Cole Reynolds and his squad were going about their regular patrol when the first signs of trouble appeared. The sky above them shimmered as though something massive was approaching. They looked up and saw it, a massive ship, its hull shimmering with an eerie, otherworldly glow. The ship descended slowly, almost deliberately, as if it were watching them. Before they could react, a deafening roar filled the air and everything went dark. Cole woke up to chaos. His team was scattered and the world had shifted. Alien ships filled the sky, firing down energy beams that disintegrated everything they touched. The human military responded, but it was clear that they were outmatched. The aliens were far more advanced, their ships faster, their weapons deadlier. It was the beginning of an invasion. Cole and his team, now among the last remaining soldiers, had only one mission: survive. They retreated into the mountains, hoping to regroup and fight back, but it was clear the aliens had something far worse in mind. They weren't just here to conquer, they were here to destroy. The first wave of the invasion had wiped out entire cities. Governments fell, and chaos spread across the globe. The aliens' technology was far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. They used energy-based weapons that could cut through tanks and armor as if they were made of paper. The resistance formed in the shadows, a ragtag group of survivors from all walks of life. Among them was Cole, now leading a small squad of soldiers. They were tasked with striking back against the aliens, but every victory came at a cost. The aliens were relentless, always one step ahead. They hit hard and fast, wiping out key military bases and communication hubs. It was clear that their strategy was to cripple humanity before they could organize a real defense. But Cole's squad, led by their unyielding spirit, became a symbol of hope in a world gone dark. In a daring raid, they managed to disable one of the alien motherships, learning valuable intel about the enemy's technology. The information was crucial, but it also came with a price. Many of Cole's team didn't make it out alive, but their sacrifice had meaning. The tide was starting to turn. As the resistance grew stronger, they learned more about their enemy. The aliens were not just invaders, they were survivors of a dying species, and Earth was their last hope. They had arrived seeking refuge, but their methods were anything but peaceful. The resistance uncovered hidden alien bases on Earth, buried deep beneath the ground. These bases contained pods that seemed to house the alien leaders, waiting to be activated. These beings weren't just mindless invaders, they had purpose, and their purpose was to dominate. Cole's team infiltrated one of these bases, discovering a horrifying truth: the aliens weren't just looking to invade, they had been sent to Earth by a higher power, a mysterious force that had been watching humanity for millennia. The alien invasion was just the beginning of something much larger. The discovery sent shockwaves through the resistance. They realized that humanity wasn't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their place in a universe full of threats. The stakes had been raised, and the resistance was now playing a much larger game. As the war dragged on, the human resistance began to falter. Supplies were running low, morale was at an all-time low, and the enemy seemed unstoppable. That's when the betrayal came. A high-ranking officer within the resistance turned out to be working with the aliens. His motives were unclear, but his actions were unmistakable: sabotage, misinformation, and division. Cole discovered the traitor's identity too late. By the time they confronted him, the damage had already been done. The traitor had provided the aliens with crucial intelligence, leading them to a hidden resistance base. The base was destroyed, and with it the lives of many innocent civilians. Cole's heart was heavy as he watched the destruction unfold. The resistance had lost precious ground, but they were far from defeated. The traitor had underestimated them, and now the resistance was more determined than ever to win. The resistance's fight became more desperate as they uncovered a new threat, a weapon unlike any they had ever seen. The aliens were building something massive, something capable of wiping out entire cities in an instant. This weapon, known only as the Dark Star, was their final solution to humanity's resistance. Cole and his squad were assigned a dangerous mission: infiltrate the alien facility where the weapon was being built and destroy it. The mission was a suicide mission. The alien defenses were too strong, and the weapon was nearly complete. As Cole and his team made their way into the facility, they encountered the aliens' elite soldiers, massive, terrifying creatures that seemed invincible. The battle was fierce, and the casualties mounted. But Cole's team pressed on, determined to stop the weapon before it could be activated. In the end, it was a race against time. Cole and his squad fought their way to the heart of the facility, planting explosives on the Dark Star just as the countdown to activation began. The explosion was massive, destroying the facility and taking the weapon with it. But the victory came at a cost. Cole's squad had been decimated, and the resistance was left to pick up the pieces once again. The destruction of the Dark Star shifted the balance of power. The alien forces were still powerful, but the loss of their ultimate weapon shook their confidence. The resistance had gained a foothold. Cole and the survivors knew that this was their chance to strike back. With the alien forces weakened, the resistance launched a series of coordinated attacks across the globe. The aliens' grip on Earth was slipping, and humanity's will to survive was stronger than ever. But just as victory seemed within reach, a new threat emerged. A massive mothership, larger than anything the aliens had built before, appeared in Earth's orbit. It was the flagship of the alien fleet, and it was heading straight for the planet. The final battle had begun. Cole stood at the front lines of the resistance, watching as the alien mothership descended. This was it, the final battle for Earth. The resistance had one chance to stop the invasion once and for all. With every weapon at their disposal, they launched their attack on the mothership. The battle was unlike anything they had faced before. Alien fighters swarmed the skies, and the resistance's ships engaged in intense dogfights. Cole's squad fought with everything they had, determined to stop the alien fleet from descending onto Earth. Despite the odds, they made it inside the mothership, where they planted explosives at its core. The countdown began. Cole and his team raced against time to escape the mothership before it detonated. The explosion that followed was catastrophic. The mothership was destroyed, and with it, the alien invasion, but the victory was bittersweet. Many lives were lost in the final battle, and Cole couldn't help but feel the weight of the cost. The war was over, but the scars of the conflict would remain for generations. In the wake of the invasion's destruction, Earth began to heal. The survivors began rebuilding their cities, reclaiming their lands, and creating a new world from the ashes of the old. But the damage was deep. Cities lay in ruins, and the global economy had collapsed. The fight for survival was far from over. Cole and the survivors began organizing a new society. The resistance was now a symbol of hope, and they worked tirelessly to ensure that humanity would never fall prey to such an invasion again. They built a new government, one based on unity and cooperation, and began to re-establish connections with other countries and communities. The wounds of war were slow to heal, but there was a sense of hope in the air. For the first time in years, humanity had a future. The war was far from over. The final assault on the alien mothership had only been a temporary victory. As the resistance forces gathered their strength, They knew they had to finish what they had started. The last assault was the toughest. Resistance forces, led by Cole and Jenkins, launched a final push to defeat the aliens once and for all. The battle in the skies was fierce, but humanity fought back with everything they had. The resistance finally reached the mothership, where they fought through the alien defenses to plant the explosives that would destroy the heart of the enemy's power. The battle was grueling, and many sacrifices were made. In the end, the aliens were defeated, but at a heavy cost. The Earth was saved, but the world would never be the same again. The aftermath of the war was a time of rebuilding. Earth was scarred, but humanity was resilient. People worked together to create a new world, one where they could live in peace and unity. Cole, now a leader of the survivors, stood at the edge of the battlefield, watching as the first signs of hope emerged. But just as they began to rebuild, a new threat emerged. The alien forces had been preparing for a second invasion, and humanity was once again thrust into a battle for survival. Cole and the resistance forces knew that the fight wasn't over. The war for Earth's future was far from finished, and they would face it together, united in their determination to protect their world. The battle was just beginning again, but this time humanity was ready.